Hello, hey everybody, what is going on? What is going on? Listen, I know I owe y'all a show. I know that I owe y'all a show. Yesterday it was supposed to be, but we doing it today. Okay. So yesterday, um, I just got really busy, really busy, taking my hair down, and it kind of ran into the night. And I was like, then I had to take care of stuff at night, and so I just was like, I'm gonna do SBK. Let me tell you something. I so need your roses today. I so need your roses. Thank you so much for always coming in with roses. I need it. We are live, baby, and I got something from Miss Tower Banks. We talking about it tonight. So get yourself together. I this is my first time eating. You said I'm taking a knee. Okay. All right, go ahead and take a knee. Thank you so much because the queen needs it. I need it today, okay? Um, I was supposed to go live with you all and talk about it yesterday. I got busy. Well, hi, we're gonna talk about it tonight. This is my first time eating because I've been doing my intermittent fasting. And guess what? It's my birthday week. I'll celebrate my birthday all week long. I'm gonna be the big 5-0. Now, guess what? I know I don't look like it. That too, and I'm celebrating all week long my birthday. And not only that, I'm celebrating. My inventory is being shipped to me. Drama Puck, my lipstick line, my inventory is being shipped to me. So I'm super excited to share that with you guys to show you how that looks and all that good stuff. Okay. Now, if I cough in between, I'm still getting over this cold. Whatever this thing is that I had a couple of weeks, it's the cold is the last to go. The cough is the last to go, and it's still lingering. But tonight I'm breaking my fast with sweet potatoes and turkey sausage, and I got a little bit of sharp cheese to go with it. Okay. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Thank you for rocking with me. SBK, I appreciate it. I'm not really expecting a whole lot of viewers to come in tonight because I haven't been on here for a minute, and I know how people get they don't have patience. They like they don't want to be bothered with you no more. But the queen is still here. The queen is still on the throne, and the queen still got something to say. And the queen gonna always run her mouth. Now, America Next Top Model. Everybody say with me, America's Next Top Model. We all know that franchise. We all know that franchise. And I can remember when it first aired and how intriguing it was, and how, hey, how you doing, Scorpio Mama? I said nothing but love your way, baby, because you deserve it. With your fine self. With your fine self, Scorp. Did you know that today was your day, Scorp? Did you know that today was Scorpio Mama Day? Did you know that? Did you know it was your day with your fine self? I was going around telling people like, hey, I know her. I know her personally. Yes, it's the day it's your day, Scorp. So American Next Top Model. You gotta take your mind back in that era. Okay. And in that era, reality TV was just starting to break with the Real World and Punk and all of that. Excuse me, and all of that stuff. And so we was getting used to seeing people in their reality. You know what I'm saying? And so it was quite intriguing and quite interesting. And then you had this gimmick of Do or Dare and the Survivor and Fear Factor. All of those shows was out during that time. And we wanted to see people take challenges, and we wanted to see people compete. We wanted to see people win, and we wanted to see people lose. That's just where our mind was at. And it wasn't like the social media was the same, right? So you say you've been chilling. It just was different back then, right? I thank God that they did this documentary because it put a whole lot of things in perspective. Now, when I was watching it in real time during that era, there was a lot of girls on there that I said, oh, they are so gorgeous, they are so pretty. You know, why they're not moving forward? I just didn't understand. See, during that time, we didn't understand that things were scripted and that people in the industry, which I know now because of being somewhat in the industry, for a little time. I didn't know that people thought 10 steps ahead and thought to form a narrative around people's flaws or around their disadvantages. I didn't know that these companies, these networks were looking for a storyline by any means possible. I didn't know that they wanted to captivate the interest of society and change how people thought about each other. I mean, because watching the documentary, that is what it seemed to be going on, right? And so watching the documentary, it put a whole lot of things into perspective. You understand what I'm saying? So, what y'all doing up in this chat, Scorpio and SBK? Y'all, calm down up in this chat. And so watching Tyra Banks on the documentary and watching the judges and just watching their body language, watching how she pivoted with different questions, just watching. None of my business. Yes, it is my business. Okay, well, you need to go watch it because I guarantee you, SBK, you're gonna do a show about it and tag me in it because I'm gonna be up on that panel with you. Okay. It's so much to digest and to unpack with this documentary. I'm gonna take my time. Now I am eating, guys. I'm breaking my fast. I got sweet potato with cinnamon on it and turkey bacon. I mean, not turkey bacon, y'all. Turkey sausage. And it's delicious. What the heck y'all got going on up in here? Squat and SBK, y'all get yourself together. Okay. So, and so many things happen. So let's start with the challenges. So going back hindsight and watching the girls and the different challenges that they had to do. So, this was a competition and the best photo was picked. That's who moved on to the next week. But prior to that, you had a series of challenges that they had to do while taking beautiful pictures. And so they were talking about how the challenges progressively got non-biased, got disrespectful. Some of them were racist. I can remember the challenge where the ladies had swapped ethnic groups and they put the white contestants in blackface. I thought that was totally offensive. Oh, this documentary, I'm telling you, I gotta take my time and I gotta slow down. They put these girls in blackface, trying to project that all are welcome and maybe you should walk in your fellow sister's shoes that are not of the same race as you. They try to spin it in that narrative, but it fell flat on his face. It was tremendous. It was tremendous, and it was offensive. And the whole world, we watched it. I mean, and I'm trying to tap into my memory to see how I felt when I first saw it. But it's just like you just sitting up there watching this white woman in blackface posing. For what? Something that is so offensive and so hurtful to a whole sect of people. You thought it was okay to do. How you doing, QSC? I said nothing but love your way because you do it. Yes, and she did it twice. You're absolutely right, QSC. She did it twice. She did it twice. And her body language, in the way that she was talking initially in the beginning of the documentary, was that she wanted to lead us to believe that she was being a trendsetter, that she just wanted to make a mark in the modeling industry. She wanted to show that all women deserve to be there and have a space there. And they contradicted her so many times in that documentary. It was sickening. And just watching her body language, you know what I'm saying? And at first I was trying to get with Tyra because she's African-American, she's a woman. You know what I'm saying? She broke through the modeling industry. But as I observed the documentary, I could see where she was deflecting. I could see where she wasn't being accountable for what happened to those young girls. I could see her not being associated, didn't want to be associated with the scandal when she was the producer. When she initially pitched it to the networks, it was her baby. It was her ideal. And if you didn't want the show to go in that directive, then you should not have allowed the network to have so much investing power in it, creative power in it. It should have been your baby. You should have been able to take that show to, if it wasn't working out with them, to another network, but till you didn't own it because you gave your rights away. That's why they were able to fire you and replace you. But it was your baby. See, that to me spoke, you wasn't smart. You wasn't intelligent. What was your lawyers doing? You understand what I'm saying? Because it was your ideal initially, and it was supposed to be for women empowerment. Okay, so let's hyper focus on a situation that the documentary highlighted. Hold on while I take this bite, guys. Hey, Josh, I said nothing but love your way because guess what? You deserve it, bro. You so deserve it. Okay, y'all like, share, and subscribe to this channel, okay? Because I want this to help somebody. So before I take a bite, so they begin to talk about what happened to this young lady, and I want to say her name was Shannon. I want to say her name was Shannon. If it wasn't, y'all check me and y'all correct me. Looking back on it, Queen Tyra was very pushy and on that show. But what I noticed was that just watching her, how she engaged with the young girls, she wasn't really tapped into reality. She was acting. That was not the real Tyra on that show. She was so animated and so, I'm doing this to push you. I'm doing this too. But my thing is, you wasn't that far older than these girls. You understand what I'm saying? You act like you was an Iman. You wasn't an Iman. You was a Tyra Banks. Okay? Iman opened the door and paved the way for you, but the way they spent the show was like she was this trailblazer, getting ready to lead these young girls and show these little young girls, when in fact, the girls couldn't even book shows after winning the competition because of the stigma of them being on the reality show. They didn't. The real agents didn't really take them serious. When she said that the young lady to fix her gap, and I'm gonna get on it as a fellow gap terror. I'm gonna talk about it. These girls' esteems totally got crushed. And the only reason why I'm covering this story, because you guys know that I am for women empowerment. And I was sickened by the documentary. I really was. So I'm going to take my time and really get into her behind tonight. You said, and the worst episode is when they filmed that girl having sex. I'm getting ready to talk about it, QST. Because that was disgusting. That was disgusting. That was disgusting. You say you love those gaps. My husband loved them too. And I didn't know I was a delicacy until I went over there. I'm a hot commodity and didn't even know it. And didn't even know it. You said, I know Tyra was upset at that girl in the 2005 class TV at the top model. Yeah, all of that was for the cameras. She wasn't upset at that girl screaming and hollering at that girl. You said, I wish I could have came up and got a story about Miss Banks. I would have liked to share, but I'm at work. Oh, really? Okay, well, put it in the comments. So the episode where the young lady was filmed having sex, she told her story. She said they were out in Milan going to go sees, and these bikers, that's how the rest of the world travel, unbeknownst to us Westerners. They do bikes and they do taxi rides and stuff like that. So they were going to their go sees on these bikers, on these mopeds, and these gentlemen so happen to be extremely attractive, right? So they're already showing the plotting the storyline. And then afterwards, someone invited the guys back to the hotel room. Okay. The young lady admitted to having at least 2 bottles of wine. Okay. And if you notice with all of these reality shows, they always keep them liquored up. There's always a flow of liquor. You understand what I'm saying? It's always some type of flow of liquor there. So the girl said she had 2 bottles of wine. And then she got into the hot tub and she's on top of this dude, you know what I'm saying? And she's becoming inebriated and her lack of judgment. Now, if I was a part of production, I would have stopped the filming there. Because here you got these women who are under the influence of alcohol that are not making right decisions. You see them not making right decisions. You see this. You see this girl under the influence and not being able to say no, right? Because she's under the influence. Why wouldn't a conscious adult step in? Not that these are children, but these are influenceable, naive young models that want to be on the show. They want to make it. You know what I'm saying? They're young, impressionable. They ain't found out who they are yet. And I'm gonna tell y'all what happens whenever you sign a contract with with a production company. I've signed plenty of them. Believe it or not, they are responsible for your safety. That verbiage is in that contract. They are responsible for your safety. That's why there's rules and regulations, and there's things you got to sign off. That's why there are production managers. They travel with us. Production should have stepped in and said, no, you allowed this young lady to have sex on national TV, knowing that she had a boyfriend, knowing that she ain't know this man but a day, not even a whole 24 hours. You don't know what these people medical background was. You don't know if this man had something. You don't know, but you allowed this girl to be exposed and taken advantage of, because that's what it was. Not only was she SA'd by the dude, but she was SA'd by the production crew. And then Tyra, she doubled back and contradicted herself in the documentary. She was like, I wasn't aware of that. That wasn't my area. And then she knew. Then she started talking about it like she knew. Then had the nerve to have a girl on her show, because she had a little talk show. And the girl said, I don't want to talk about it behind the scenes. And then Tyra plays the whole scene again. Violates the girl again on her show. And had the nerve to have her hand on her knees like she comforting her. She did not protect not one woman on that platform, on that show, on none of the shows. On none of the shows. She was not an advocate, and she did not protect those girls. They should not have to air that. That crap was jacked up, QST. They don't even show no stuff like that now on network TV. Now, she was inebriated. She was not able to make a conscious decision in what she was doing. That alone should have been enough for them to stop filming and said, hey, are you making this decision with all of your faculties? But you did it because it was good TV. I could not believe that. That broke my heart. And you can see it destroyed that girl. And kudos to the boyfriend who tried to make it work. To my understanding, he traveled to New York with her so that she could see if she can pursue her model. He stayed with her for a minute, but then he couldn't do it no more. I mean, as a man, you watching your girl be with another man on national TV and still decide to stay with her. That's big of him, but it got to him. He couldn't do it no more. He couldn't do it no more. It's a sad commentary. Hold on one second. I'm taking a bite. Hold on, y'all. That was so jacked up. And I thought they did not protect her. She should have been compensated. They didn't bring the lawyers on then. However, when Tyra went off on that young lady, one of the co-hosts said, then the other producer said, The next show, the lawyers was there. The lawyer should have been there then. I would have sued her for everything that she was worth. You understand? You know somebody is intoxicated and inebriated and can't make sound decisions, and you allow that to happen. That bothered me so much. So, but what does that say about our self-worth as women? What does that say about our self-worth as women? What society thinks about women of all creeds and ethnic groups, because all of them were different and all of them got taken advantage of. What also really broke my heart was the African girl who was of the LGQT community. That the way they did her, and I remember that season. I was tapped in on that season. I remember that. And I was saying, finally, they got somebody that looked ethnic. They got somebody that wasn't traditionally a beauty queen. They got somebody that didn't have a soft look. They had a hard look. They got somebody that we can relate to, the average girl we can relate to. And I was so happy to see her on that show. But and she came on there and she was fly. She walked in fly. She walked in with swag. But to me, I think Tyra was a little bit jealous of her, just a little bit. Because it was always some type of comment to try to bring her down a notch, to try to humiliate her. I didn't get it. They cut her hair, and I was saying to myself, I think that's fly. I was saying to myself, ain't nothing really wrong with her hair. They cut that girl hair, and it really wasn't nothing wrong with her hair. And then they left it, what did she say? 2 bald spots in her head. And they had the nerve to tell her she was ashy. She looked ashy. And I was saying to myself, Tyra, you talking to another black woman in front of the whole country, in front of the whole world. I don't care if me and you falling out, if we don't like each other, there's a code where there should be. Because I do see sometimes where we don't have each other back publicly. And I think we should always have each other back publicly as black women. She did not protect that girl. She talked to her like somebody who didn't look like us. Our counterparts would talk to her and made fun of her. If you thought she looked ashy on TV, if you thought she was looking ashy, why didn't you wait till after film and say, you know what, sis? Come on, let's go to the store and let's get some lotions and let's go get some shea butter because I want you to look your best, sis. Why did she do that? She embarrassed her on national TV, a sister talking to another sister. That pissed me off. That pissed me off. And then they started picking on her. Oh, her face is too hard. Oh, she looking like this. She looking like that. That girl was swag. And the way she walked up on that documentary to do that show, baby, she brung the heat. When I tell you she brung so much swag in that room, I was saying to myself, I hope she get picked up for something. I hope somebody see this documentary and pick her up. That girl looked like a queen. Do you hear what I say? Tyra? And she got 24 cycles of this. A couple of cycles, they, edited her out and brought somebody else in. You gotta watch it. I'm telling you, SBK, when you get to the point where they talk about when a young lady comes on, you'll know who she is, honey. Because I can't remember her name, but you're gonna know who she is when she hit that camera. The girl came in, her hair, the way they styled her hair, the way she came in with her hair, it looked like a crown. Excuse me. I said to myself, that's how you do it. And it seemed like Tyra was trying to make her small on every episode. It seemed like they tried to make her small on every episode. And I'm saying, this is a sister. Why are you doing a sister like this? So then they progressively started talking about the antics that Tyra would do, saying that they wanted to maximize the young lady's fears. So they would find out what the young lady's fears were and have them shoot a scenario displaying that fear. One of them was tarantulas. They had a girl, Eva, with a tarantula on her face, and she was definitely scared. But the most heartbreaking one, let me take a bite. Hold on, y'all. The most heartbreaking one for me was the young lady who said her mother had got shot in the head. Had got shot and paralyzed by her stepfather because the mother had moved on. Thank you. I did. Mm-hmm. The mother had moved on. You done sidetracked me, SBK. Because it's something that you don't know about me. But I'm gonna go ahead and keep it PG. Okay. Cause you're my twin flame. Okay. The young lady had in her pre-interview, she had told American Top Model that she had told American Top Model that her mother had got paralyzed. They got shot by the stepfather, who she had that got remarried, and he didn't like it. And he was like, if nobody can, if I can't have you, nobody can have you. So he shot her and paralyzed her. And so that was traumatic, and they knew it. So then they decided that they wanted to do scenes of murder. Why? Why do you want these girls in these catastrophic scenarios and in positions like this? Her scene, which I thought was so disgusting, she had to depict a lifeless body that had been shot in the head. For the life of me, I don't understand why. Talking about you're stretching somebody's creativity, you're stretching them to see how they can perform. And they took some of these girls took some very thought-provoking photos, some very sad photo. I thought it was just sad, but and then some of them took some beautiful photos by Nigel. But the sad part about it, all of these photos that was in their portfolio at the end of the show, none of them could be used. None of the photos could be used because the agency said that they were over, the pictures were over propped. They were overstocked with things, and they just wanted to see the model. So it's best to have just a black and white headshot when you're doing modeling or when you're doing acting. And the reason why I know this is because I've acted and I've had to audition, and they just want a black and white headshot. That's all they want. So all of that hoopla that they went through and all of that exploitation that they did with these girls, they didn't even need it. Do you understand what I'm saying? You're welcome. I don't even know what that means, but you're welcome. You understand what I'm saying? Out of all of the girls, they said nobody made it. Out of all of that, they got this contract. They won a contract with CoverGirl and all this stuff. There, nobody made it. So all of the winners went to like a model's apartment because they couldn't go straight home because they was on a contract and not reveal the ending. And they were saying how they would sit there to wait to go on their go-sees or their bookings because this is part of the show. This is part of their contract. This is part of their winnings, right? They win this contract with CoverGirl and they get to go on these shows and they get booked. None of the girls was getting booked. They were just sitting in the apartment. They said once they won the show, that was it. Nobody came around to check on them or nothing. They just let them sit in the house until the show was actually over and it aired. They went on no jobs. And so they put them in a model house. And a model house means you in the house with other aspiring models in New York. Not necessarily associated with the show, but you're just there because it's a model house, right? One of the winners said they were in the model house and they noticed that everybody was getting jobs and getting books but her. And she said the other model inquired to the agent, why isn't she getting booked? And they said, oh, we have to treat her differently because she's on that show and none of the houses, none of the modeling agencies want her because of the stigma of her being on reality TV, and they don't want her walking the runway because it will take attention away from their brand. So they self-sabotaging these young girls. And the girl, she was in tears. She said, because Tyra knew my aspiration, and I believe she came back for a second season because that was the same girl that she had went off. Oh, she came back and went through all of that and still didn't make it. And then she said, years later, Tyra called her and said, yeah, I knew that you were struggling with your career. And she said she regretted not doing anything about it. I said, no, she's a narcissistic. Tyra is for Tyra. And it took decades for this to be revealed. That's why I say you could do your little thing and do your little dirt. At the end of the day, all things are going to be revealed. This is her day of reckoning. And she talking about cycle 25. I can't see nobody hiring her to do nobody's show after all of this. You got victims. Tyra Banks allegedly have victims. She was willing to do anything. You had a slew of moldable, influenceable young girls in your tutelage. And you took advantage of it. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. The most, I would say, the most provocative story was, you said a narcissist is a very bad demon. Absolutely. Was the young lady who got her teeth pulled out. I think her name was it Adrienne? What's her name? Adrienne. Got her teeth pulled out. You said that my adopted mom was one, and my ex was one. Yeah, narcissistic. Trust me, I have been with a narcissist before, and it is not. It's horrible. It ain't. I wouldn't wish it on. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. This girl got her teeth pulled to be a part of the show. They said she was in the dentist for 24 hours. For 24 hours. Pulled out her teeth. Then she was made to go on set and do a photo shoot. That's how bad people back in the day wanted to be famous. They would go out of their way to do all type of weird, crazy things for fame. Now you can become famous just being a content creator in your living room. But back in the day, they was willing to bet it all and do it all. It was ridiculous to me. I ain't never seen such craziness. And then the fact that she did not have an ounce of accountability. That blew my mind too. That blew my mind. No sense of accountability. The only thing that she was remorseful for is when they asked her about her co-host Jay. Well, there were two Jays, not the African American, but the Caucasian man. And they was giving her opinion, but she never spoke about it. And then she just broke and said, I think I need to speak to him first before I make a comment. Yeah, because the way y'all did him was horrible. But one thing about it is that I think out of all of the judges, he was the one that had the most morals. He was the one that had the most morals. They talked about is her name Anna Dickerson, and how cruel she was to women. They showed young girls going into the bathroom and vomiting who had eating disorders. They were just trying to keep weight to be on the show. And so Tyra, she gave this narrative that she was so for women and that she was, was giving horror stories about women and their weight and talking about how they had to take laxatives to keep weight, how they would throw up. And then you turn around and call the girls fat, that they need to lose some weight, that, they, no, you can't walk the one way this size and all this crazy stuff. And I ain't trying to be funny, guys, and I'm not trying to offend any of my subscribers. But generally, you hear this from, I don't even want to say it because I don't want people thinking that I'm racist, but I'm not. But generally, you hear that from white men in that industry. But here it is, a sister who had to break doors down herself, who was the first or the second at many things in that modeling industry. So she knew how hard it was to make a way. Doing the same thing that was perpetuated to you, you're going to perpetuate it to these girls. And Swap, you're right. I agree with you, and I said the same thing. But I'm not the type. I don't like to talk about people. I don't like to talk about women's physicalities because it's like, I believe all women is beautiful and they can accentuate what they have. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to do, but when I was watching, I've always said, she's beautiful, but I've seen, look at mine. You know what I'm saying? Look at these gorgeous women. You know what I'm saying? She's gorgeous too, but her attitude made her look ugly. You know what I'm saying? Made her look ugly. I just didn't know. I just didn't know. And just going back watching it, it's like, now that you're mature, you see things differently. And I'm like, wow, how did I miss that? I'm for real. And I'm going to be accountable for myself. I'm like, how did I miss all of that? Things were just different then. You know what I'm saying? It was just different. It was just different. But the documentary is really intriguing. I would have loved for Tyra to be more accountable. When they were asking her questions, I would have loved for her to be more accountable for her actions. She act like she didn't know that the girl was SA'd on the show. I'm like, how could you not? It was all over national news. How could you not? The girl, and I ain't gonna lie, the girl was like, she went right back to Walmart. That had to be devastating. After all of this fame and stuff, you was right back to Walmart. And then they talked about how they manipulated the outcome of the show, the manipulate the outcome of the scenes. Who won that week? They would pick some of the girls' worst pictures and not the best pictures, and they will lose. That's life-changing to go home after all of that stuff that they had to do for the show, because it was a whole manipulation. It was about ratings, and it was about what was intriguing and what was interesting to do. My phone is always buzzing. It always buzzes when I go live. I thought it was horrible. They talked about how desperate she got for the show. They talked about how desperate she got for the show and all the antics that she had tried. They had these girls walking around wearing meat. how sanitary is that? Oh, I thought I had put it on vibrate. Let me see. They out there wearing meat. Okay, wait. And one girl was like, I'm a vegan. She was sicking, but she did it. Why? Because she wanted to stay on the show. Because she thought it was going to be life changing. They had these girls thinking that it's life changing. You understand what I'm saying? The only person, again, I say, that halfway, excuse me, that halfway made it and has a career in entertainment now is Eva, the little short girl with the hazel eyes, the one that looked like Terrence Howard. She's the only one, and that's because of her. It was because of her personality. It had nothing to do with the show. I don't think it probably had everything to do with her agent. She's the only one that made it. It was like a whole, the way that the documentary laid it out, it was like years of just, oh, I don't even want to say that, but it was just years of just exploitation of women, of women. Showing them getting bazillion waxes on TV. I said to myself, that was more risque than what we see now on network TV. Girls sitting there, you got white women sitting there getting sew-ins, crying on TV, talking about it hurt. It was the antics for me. Then I think one season she had all men. She did the same thing with the men. I just was like, oh my God. But the one I said, not the most harmful, but the most shadiest one was when they fired all of the hosts. Now she claimed that the network told her that they had to let all of the hosts go except for her. I'm saying to myself, and I remember the show very well. I tuned in every week to see who? Miss J, the tall black one, the tall black homosexual that was on the show, because he was animated, full of energy. He was the one that brought the interest to the show, and of course the photos did. But Miss J, oh my God, he brought the heat. And he said his birthday had came up, so she sent him flowers, and the next week she fired him. What kind of low down stuff is that? And the other Jay, she wouldn't even let him leave when he wanted to leave. She wouldn't even let him leave. Talking about stay one more cycle. And then they all found out that they were fired, including the photographer Nigel, through the news, instead of letting them know personally. I thought, I mean, and these people, and especially that makeup artist, was with her from the conception of the show. Was with her from the beginning. You mean tell me you couldn't pick up a phone and tell these people that you getting ready to let them go? They had to find out on the news. Like, come on. And she said she had no, in the documentary, no accountability. She's like, no, I think they think it was me. It wasn't me. But if it wasn't you, you could have fought hard for them. You understand what I'm saying? You to protect your people. One thing I can say about Tyler Perry, even though I don't like all his shows and stuff, he carries his people, the day ones. They're going to always work. They're going to always work. I feel like as a black woman, Tyra let us down. I feel like she wasn't a protector of those young girls that was on her show. I feel like she used that show to gain wealth. I feel like she liked being in a position of a puppeteer and being, the boss. I feel like it was a whole ego trip for her. And you not realizing that the things that you're saying and the things that you're doing are tearing down. You're not leaving these girls with no dignity at all. You're not giving them their right of privacy. Even though it's a reality show, do you still, some things that should not have been filmed? And I think that Netflix did a great job in bringing that out. Now, Tyra pivoted. She tried her best to keep herself clean and keep her hands clean, but no, because at the end of the day, it was your show. It was your show. Now, towards the end, I think they bought her out or something like that. But it was your show. It reminds me of Making the Band, how those kids got exploited. It reminds me of Diddy and how he promised these people a future or promised them that their life is going to be changed. People was quitting their jobs once they got on the show. You know what I'm saying? Like that was, to me, was devastating because they thought that their life was going to be changed because this thing was new. We had never seen something like this on TV. They thought that their life was going to be changed. All for them to get on the show and they be embarrassed and humiliated and talked to and yelled at and screamed at like you somebody mama and all of this stuff. And I like that girl that had the gap because you could tell that her mama raised her right. And you could tell that she was not intimidated by Tyra and that she had a backbone. And rather than be humiliated on national TV, she walked off. And they made it such a scene like, oh, I can't believe she's ungrateful. She this. And Tyra didn't like it. She walked off, and then Tyra called her back. Talking about, oh, I got something else I want to say to you. And then you start yelling and humiliating her because you saw that girl wasn't paying you none. So now you're going to try to come bring her back and humiliate her because she walked off on you. No. A black woman, and I'm going to say it again, a black woman talking to another black woman on national television like that. And I'm looking at Tyra because Tyra was just in the news. Somebody had snapped a picture of her in the car and looked like she was having a meltdown or something. But now all of a sudden, this Netflix thing come out and you so well put together now. And you so articulate. I ain't seen Tyra. We ain't seen her. Have we? I ain't seen her. I mean, what is she doing? Because I ain't seen her. I'm flabbergasted. I am flabbergasted. And I'm looking at those women and I'm like, somebody should have been there to advocate for those girls. Somebody should have been there to advocate for those girls. Somebody should have said, hey, this is too much. You're taking it too far. Somebody. But nobody spoke up for those girls. Except for the makeup artist, Miss J. He did say that if he heard something, they were trying to eliminate one of the girls or they was trying to pick on the girls, he would direct the girls to be a certain way so that they could stay on the show. Now, I thought that was commendable. Because I think because he was ready to go then, but I think he stayed one more season. No, he stayed a couple of seasons on after he had put in his resignation. They had asked him to stay for a couple of more seasons, which tells me that they knew that he was one of the factors that brought in ratings. But see, sometimes people don't want to let you know that you a star. Just like they made that comment and said that they were walking in, her Tyra and the two J's was walking in New York, and somebody identified the two J's and made a big fuss over them and not Tyra, and that kind of pissed her off. You know what I'm saying? Which lets me know you on some type of ego. You got an ego problem. Hold on, y'all. I'm taking a bite. So you see these girls being made of a fool, and you slowly see these girls' esteem be broken down. And I say that because no woman wants to be told that they're ugly. No woman wants to be told that they're not good enough. No woman wants to be told that you don't meet the mark in private. Just think about these women were being told that on national TV. And some of them will being told that by their black counterpart or someone who look like they had made it in that industry, and they look like them, they're black like them, and you being talked to like that and being disrespected and being belittled. That had to have felt some kind of way. Because as black people, we looking at each other like, you got my back, sis. I may not even know you, but we give each other that look like you got my back, right? She did not have their back. And I thought it was deplorable. And I can't even remember if I finished watching the series. I couldn't, but I just thought it was a disservice to women. That whole and I know I kind of probably got bored with the series because I stopped watching it early on. I have not watched all 25 seasons of American Next Top Model. I haven't, because I just kind of lost interest because it was the same old gimmick. It did get boring, like the documentary said. It did get boring, and people just wasn't responding to it no more because they was doing some of everything to try to get people interested. It was started being corny, and people just started losing interest. And then after that, they just end up firing Tyra. They got rid of her and brought in some exotic looking woman, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work, y'all. But I admonish you guys to please go and watch that documentary. It's eye opening, and it allows and it shows us how far we have come along and traveled as women. You know what I'm saying? We've came along in as advocacy and women's rights. We've came a mighty long way, because that for sure would not that none of those scenes on there would ever fly today on network TV. Not at all. Not at all. She would not be able to do that today on network TV. Not at all. So, I'm disappointed in her. I really am. And this ain't me being mad about something that she did in the past. You know what I'm saying? What I'm really disappointed is that after everything that has transpired with women's rights up until this day, after everything that you've seen, the Me Too movement, Diddy, R. Kelly, after everything that you have seen, you still sat up there and did not have a moment of accountability. You never said, "Oh, I'm sad that happened to Shannon," because if you would have did it, that means you would have had to admit that something wrong happened. See, I will be trying to look at the laws and statutations for stuff like that, because somebody will be getting sued. Because that girl is still traumatized to this day about it. She was in tears talking about it to this day. It affected her. That's what she's known for the rest of her life. I can say the rest of her life, but up until this moment, that's what everybody remember about this girl. Not the fact that she does animal rescue, because she says she does animal rescue now. It totally destroyed some of these girls' lives. And she sat up there with no accountability. Disgusting. But that's the industry for you. That's the industry. And they didn't even talk to most of the girls. They just talked to the ones that, you know, were that were rememberable. One girl was so frustrated. She was like, I thought my life was gonna change. She's like, but nothing really happened. Nobody after the show, I didn't get no calls. Nobody checked up on us. They didn't try to get us no gigs or nothing, none of that. That one girl that when they made the issue about her the gap in her teeth, she said she wasn't really. She said she really wasn't trying to get on the show to make it. She said she just wanted to get out of her circumstances. That's deep. She wasn't really trying to make it. She just was trying to get out of her circumstances because they were so dire. And she was just trying to make it to New York. You said, Queen, I got off of Facebook too much bull crap. Oh, man, you did? Well, not to sidetrack, but my Facebook, somebody had set up a fake Facebook page in my name, and they had it up since 2025, and I didn't even know it. And then somebody had stole my husband's identity on TikTok and was trying to run a this lady from over here from America trying to run a scam on her. And me and my husband, we had to go through this thing with TikTok and verify who he was and all of this. It was crazy. People, you got to be careful. It make you want to just make your page private. It make you just want to get off of social media, period. Because you can post a picture, somebody will take it, or they'll go to your, photos and take your picture and set up a whole page pretending to be you. It's horrible out here. So he had to make a whole nother page and had to tell people that this is the real. You know how we do. I'm like, this is crazy. He said folks think that they can just because folks think just because talks are spiritual, they going to heaven. Yep. You're absolutely right. People think because they talk about God and they cry and they play church music and all this stuff, they think they on their way to heaven. That's going to take them to heaven because they got emotional. But that ain't the truth. God wants a real relationship with you. I don't mean to sidetrack, but Scorp, she brought it up. Talking about God and actually living for God and having a relationship with God is two different things. Now, and I ain't say you had to be perfect, but a relationship is different than saying, "Oh, I know him." But yeah, I think my takeaway from the documentary was that I wish she could have owned up to her stuff. Yes, facts. And then they talked about Miss J having a stroke. And I was like, wow. He had a stroke and that he was paralyzed briefly, but I think they had an update where I think he's doing a little bit of walking, but it was sad to see him in that state because he was always the animated one. But they said that the two J's, they came together and rallied around him and everything. They did the same thing about Tyra going and seeing him. Because he had made this comment like, they were saying, you think Tyra's going to come and see you and all that stuff. But he said he wasn't ready to see her. I guess not when you find out you're being fired on the national news instead of a phone call or a meeting. And she sat there just as pretty. Like nothing. I mean, like how can you sit there when you know you could have stopped a lot of embarrassing moments for these girls, but you didn't? Because she not only was the producer, she had moved on and became a master editor. So some things you could have cut out, and the world would have never ever seen it. A woman being SA'd under the influence. Come on. You thought that was good TV? You're disgusting. It was disgusting. For the fame. For the fame. All for the fame. And at the end of the day, they let her go too. They let her go too. She was expendable too. That's crazy. That just lets you know they don't care. What does that rapper say? They not like us. And somebody else said, who was that? That was Michael Jackson said they don't care about us. They don't care about us. You do all that bending over. And they don't even care about us. I'm telling you. So, guys, please go and check the documentary out. Because I'm gonna tell you, it's so many different content creators coming out and talking about it, and it need to be heard. But I can tell you, I mean, I just about identified with the drama and stuff that happened behind productions, because by me traveling the road, honey, with a gospel play, I was so naive. I thought everybody was saved on the gospel play because it was a gospel play. Unbeknownst to me, they were not. And when I got out there on that road and saw how people really were, people were sleeping with each other and fighting and cussing and getting high and everything else. It's something. And then go on stage and sing Jesus, and people falling out in the audience. And you don't know half the cast is sleeping with each other. Like, it's crazy to me. They got wives and husbands at home waiting on them. It's not what it appears to be. These productions and stuff and shows in the industry is not what it appears to be. But when I went out there on the road, I thought it was. I'm saying, oh, we going on a gospel play. We working with these gospel artists. Everybody saved. Everybody go to church, please. Please. That's not what. Now, I ain't saying I was perfect, because I most definitely was doing my dirt too. But I'm just saying it blew my mind. It really did. It really did. I think Tyra, by the time she got to the America's Next Top Model, she had forgot where she came from. Even though she made that little statement, I ain't forgot yes, you did. You forgot where you came from. You wanted these girls to look up to you like you was, God. And you took advantage of them being naive and wanting to be in the industry. You took advantage of them for gain. And it just wasn't right. And I think that because when she brought all the girls back on her talk show, she was like, my babies, my American Top Show, Next Top Model babies. I'm like, you ain't old enough to be talk. That she just wanted to be in to play that role, and she wasn't. She wasn't. A master manipulator. When I look at her, I'm like, the documentary made me see her in a different light. Because I'm like, look at her. She's sitting up there like I ain't trying to be funny, y'all, like a slithering snake. That's the thing, that's the vibe that I got from her. And she just sitting there, no accountability, no feeling bad about nothing. And embarrass that girl. I'm going back to the girl with the gap. She stood up there and said, you know your grandmama, she spent her last money and got her lights cut off to get you here. We didn't have to know that. But you was trying to bring her down a notch because she had walked away from you. And she had the balls to walk away from the show. And you put that girl business out here like that. She didn't protect her. I didn't like it. It was horrible. It was horrible. So listen, go out and look at the documentary for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll come back and do an update or something. Maybe an update on the fallout from the show. And just because it's eye-opening. The way they show how that show went from 0 to 100. And it just went from some good to bad. And all those girls got taken advantage of, guys. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the show. I appreciate you, Score, for rocking with me and being on the show, staying with me. Thank you to SPK and QST and Joshua and everybody else who came through here. Thank you for those that are in the bushes, those that are watching on a replay. Thank you. I appreciate it. But you don't have to. This is your Queen Clayleen saying, be great. Bye, Scorpio. Love you, girl. Bye bye.